Hey y'all, Ian, Stark Naked Kustoms. I think this is episode 4. You say, Ian, what do you mean troubleshooting electrical? Well, you saw it. Um, Poor altered, crank no start. So we got to figure that out. Let's do it. Like I said, so crank no start, altered, super awesome, fun. Lots of electrical troubleshooting that everybody enjoys and doesn't enjoy at the same time. Like it's no fun. Um, Episode 3 was a flop. We aren't doing that again. Um, Themed video, whatever. You know what? I'm not some big YouTube guy that does this all the time. I thought I'd do it for fun. So you know what? That's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be fun. Screw this whole try to make a viral video or whatever crap. I'm here to work on mini trucks, do mini truck stuff, and hopefully something I do along the way or something I say along the way helps somebody else, right? I mean, that's kind of what it's about. This about a week and a half ago, whatever. I started altered up. She ran just fine. I let her run for a while, filled up the air tank. That was right before I did the drop spindles, and no issues. Like fired right up. She ran great. Shut her down, and that was it. Um, I haven't really done anything super major on her, like as far as extending wire harnesses or uh, anything major in the engine bay. So to jump in it the other day, I did do some hose candy upgrades, which let me take you over to the truck and show you that. All right, so for a hose candy, so we did the upper radiator hose here, and obviously the overflow hose. Um, we went ahead and did the brake booster line up and across, and I went ahead and wrapped the throttle cable because I thought that would look a lot nicer than just the black loom that I had on there. Anyway, upper radiator hose, I put that on and I was like, okay, I did what anybody would do, right? I'm like, let's start the truck, make sure I don't have any leaks. Jumped in her and wouldn't start. Cranked over, nothing. Okay. The truck, when I bought it, it came with a MSD 6AL ignition box. So I thought, I've had trouble with it in the past where she wouldn't start, and it ended up being that there was too low a voltage to get the engine started, get it to spark consistently from the MSD box. So I thought, okay, maybe that's the issue. So threw it on the battery charger. You guys don't mind if I smoke? Oh, wait, you're not here, and it's my shop, so I'm gonna smoke. Um, so thought maybe that was the issue. I threw it on the battery charger and let it charge up. Jumped back in her and nothing. Like same thing. It would crank, but she wouldn't fire. So kind of started scratching my head. I was like, okay, well, what did I do under in the engine bay that would have caused her not to start? Like, is there something I physically touched in there that either I left unplugged or I left loose or whatever and made it to where she wouldn't start? So I started at the top, visually looked over everything, made sure everything was plugged back in, made sure I didn't leave any grounds loose, made sure my ground strap was connected. Uh, didn't see anything. Like, nothing would say, hey, you dumb shit, you left this undone. That's why the truck's not starting. So then it was like, okay, now we got to move on to the other stuff. Let's check all the fuses, right? So crawled underneath the dash, probed out all the fuses. All the fuses turned good, so it wasn't a fuse issue. So now it's okay. Let's check relays. Well, Let me show you why checking relays on the truck is not fun. Checking relays on altered, duh, right? Here's the thing. Configuration, usually the relays are mounted up here on the apron. Obviously, because we're missing quite a bit of the apron, they don't work there. We did extend wires. The main wire bundle now runs here up to my relays, which are mounted on the apron right there. The problem with that is when you want to get to those relays, guess what? That means you're taking a fender off, you're taking a cowl off just to get to relays. What the hell was I thinking? The right way to do it, or the better way to do it, would have probably been to run those back through the main loom here, back through here, and probably stuffed them underneath the dash or something, somewhere that they were a little bit easier to get to. Since I already made the mistake of putting them where I put them, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the relay box off and move it back just a hair, flip it over so that the relays are pointed down. And then that way, when I air up, I can still get to them from inside the fender. That's my thinking. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but we're going to try it out and see if that makes it a little bit easier to get to, because I literally just spent like 4 days body lining the truck. We're obviously trying to prep out everything and get it ready for body work. So, we're already starting to do the block sanding on the bedside panels and get that all knocked out so I can get it reprimed. So it really kind of sucks to pull everything back off the front end to troubleshoot a no start issue. I mean, that sucks. Back to issue at hand. Crank no start. Charge the battery up, still didn't start. Where do we go from there? Checked all the fuses. Good. Went to the relays. Started swapping relays, hoping that maybe either the EGI or the clutch inhibitor relay maybe took crap and just needed a new relay. No dice. No start. I mean, no crank, no start. So same behavior, same issue. At that point, I was kind of like, okay, well, the easy stuff's done. Now I got to start breaking into the harder stuff. Well, what do you need to get the truck started? You need air, you need spark, and you need fuel, right? So I knew I was getting air. I knew I was getting fuel because I could smell the fuel.
Never sniff the gas.
No, don't sniff the gas.
Don't sniff the gas.
What
When
happened?
I would crank the truck over. Spark, I didn't know. I don't have a spark plug tester, so I have to do it the old school way. Pull the coil wire, stuff a plug in it, put it against the block, crank the truck over. Good to go, right? Well, issue with that is I don't have a remote starter yet. I can't just push a button while I'm holding the spark plug and check for spark. So I had to get the 6'3" tall remote starter guy, CJ, in my house and say, hey dude, come here and help me and check this for spark. So had him out there, cranked it over, nothing, no spark coming out. Okay, so it's either coil or it's MSD box, right? The MSDs, the easy way to test the MSD and test the coil. Well, you can test the coil a couple ways. You can take a multimeter, test the resistance between the positive and negative terminal, test the resistance between the inside and the positive coil and see what kind of ohms you get. If they're within a set range, then it's good. Okay, so I did that. Everything tested good on the coil. I'm like, okay, well, that seems okay. The MSD box itself, though, couldn't really find any information on how to test it per se. So the only information I found was the white wire. There's two sets of wires on the MSD 6ALs. It's either a white and red or it's a violet and green combo. The violet and green combo are meant to run a magnetic distributor set, and the red and white are points, CAS. You know, I'm sure there's other technical terms that I'm forgetting, but those are kind of the ones that we're after, is the CAS style optical sensor inside the distributor. So if you take the white wire and you run a jumper to it and you ground it, it basically is the same thing as what our truck does. From the ECU sends a pulse signal. The pulse signal goes through the wire, um, through the main plug at the top of the valve cover, right there. There's a little 4-prong plug there. This plug here. So this is your main plug coming from the harness down to your distributor wiring. Inside here you have 4 prongs. So if you're looking at the plug with the safety notch down, your upper plug is going to be your 12 volt. Your bottom plug is going to be your ground. The adjacent bottom is going to be your 1 degree signal, and your upper one is your 180-degree signal. If you're testing these with a multimeter, this should be a constant 12, 13, whatever your voltage is, to the from the battery. Obviously, ground, you're not going to get anything on. This should be a 5-volt pulsing. This should be a 5-volt pulsing. That's what gives you everything down to the CAS inside the distributor, which tells your stuff to fire. Now, over here is where the headache comes in. So, as you can see right here, this is a stock igniter. When I bought the truck, it already had that in it, and it was still hooked up. Well, when you put that thing in, that thing is not supposed to be hooked up. Anyway, this here is a stock configuration. You'll find it in, anything from 86.5 to 97. And I think actually they still have the same thing moving on. But this is the igniter. Same thing as that. This is your stock coil. That's the wire that goes to the distributor. You have 2 wires that come out of the main harness. One is a black and white wire. One is a blue wire. The blue wire is the coil negative. The black wire is the coil positive. Then you have these 3 guys, which go into the igniter. A blue, a black with a pink stripe, and a white. The white is a shielded signal wire. The black with a pink stripe is, I believe, 12-volt constant. I'd have to go reprobe it. The blue is a keyed 12-volt. So works is, if you back probe those, you should see 5-volt. And that 5-volt can fluctuate a little bit, but then it drops off to 0 and it comes back up to 5. So it's what's called a square wave, right? When you're cranking or when the engine's running, it sees 5-volt and it drops off, and then it comes up and it drops off. Well, what causes that drop is that optical sensor inside the distributor. There's a little LED light in there. There's a round disc, and that round disc has a bunch of holes all the way around it. I'll try and find a picture and put one over there so you can see what I'm talking about. And when you have that pulse, it sends a signal to pulse not only the spark plugs, but also the injectors. So if it doesn't see that pulse in the voltage, it doesn't pulse anything that needs to be pulsed. So that's one of the troubleshooting steps is if you crank the key over, or if you have somebody else crank the key over, or have a remote starter, you can actually pick a screwdriver and stick it to the top of the injector. And while you're cranking, if you can hear the injector clicking, that means the injectors are getting a signal. If you're still not getting spark, you're not getting signal to the MSD or the stock coil. Two different issues. Along with the pulse not coming out, you're going to get two possible solutions. It's either going to be the CAS inside the distributor, or it's going to be the transistor inside the ECU, which nobody hopes for. Both, no matter which one it is, distributor or ECU, requires you to replace one or the other. Yeah. So we did all the standard troubleshooting. We back probed our wires. We kind of checked for voltage. The main telltale was one of the troubleshooting steps is to disconnect the ECU. When you disconnect the ECU, you back probe the signal wire on the igniter plug. And what you should see is that 5-volt drop off. If you're not seeing a 5-volt drop off, if it's flat at 0, that means you have a short circuit in the wire somewhere. If it stays consistent 12-volt, you're not getting your pulse signal, or not 12-volt, sorry, 5-volt. You're not getting your signal, so it's not telling the coil to fire. So that's what my situation ended up being. So the CAS board inside the distributor is dead. We have a new one on order. I also found a couple OEMs that are somewhat close, so I'm going to go snag some of them up, get those thrown on the shelf for later, and make sure that, no matter what, because we not only have altered the 95, we have the King Cab out there. So kind of feel like maybe it's a good idea to grab a couple of those and throw them on the shelf just in case. Kind of go from there. I mean, it kind of sucks. And, whatever. We like to do mini truck things. Like I said, in the very beginning, I'm still learning. It's all a learning process to me. So you can either come along for the ride or you don't have to watch. I mean, that's kind of how it goes, right? Yeah. Peace out.